and address any concerns you might have around your application. So for those of us joining us live, you'll be able to ask your questions here. Those of us who chime in for the recording, you'll be able to follow up with us with any questions. And I know some of you have already been doing that. I've been getting some emails with some of your questions, and hopefully you guys have gotten your applications underway. For those of you who I haven't met or don't know me, my name is Monica Martinez. I'm the Director of Professional Development for our team, EdTech team. And I work on the Google Certified Educator programs, and hope to answer your questions here today. I just want to remind everyone that you can use the GAVE Summit hashtag to post out your just your findings and any tips and tricks that you might want to share with others as well. So please do use that hashtag. It's a great way for others to be able to find your postings. We're also using the
sorry about that, Monica. Do you think you could change the, I think the settings to your slide deck, or our folks can't access it? If you wouldn't mind changing that. I don't think I can.
I'll actually share that at the end, Wendy, if you don't mind. That way I can go through the questions, and then at the end we can go ahead and open it up. So the todaysmeet.com, the link there on the screen, that's the one that Wendy shared. It's todaysmeet.com /edtech team. You can use that as that's our back channel. You can ask your questions there. And like I said, towards the end here, we will be sharing the slide deck, so don't worry about that just yet. I'll be going through it on the screen here anyway. There are the additional links that Wendy shared. In case you didn't make it at the very beginning, you've got the roll call that you want to go ahead and add your name to, because there will be a door prize at the end. And once again, I will share out that slide deck towards the end, so don't worry about that. I do also want to share the training center link, so you can get all the information you would need on all of the programs there, as well as more detailed information about the application and so forth. So definitely that's a good link to have handy. edutrainingcenter.withgoogle.com will take you to the Google for Education Training Center site. From this slide deck, on slide number 7, once we get access to that for everyone, you'll be able to link to all of the aspects of the Google for Education Certified Trainers. You've got your Learning Center, you've got the link to the exams, and then you've got the link to the online application there as well. I do want to remind everyone that this quarter's applications are due on November 22nd. That is this coming Sunday. So if you're looking towards applying for this one, then just be mindful of that deadline. If you're not looking to apply during this particular quarter, know that you can apply in the following quarter. Each quarter, the applications open the first month of the quarter, so you can expect to see that application open sometime in January, with a deadline of probably sometime late February. But we don't have the exact dates just yet, but as soon as they're posted, we will certainly share that with you guys. But don't forget, this coming Sunday is your deadline for the application. I just wanted to share some stats with you guys, hoping that those of you who are interested in becoming trainers, that you also become a part of this. As you can see, there's quite a bit of folks all over the world in 55 different countries. We currently have over 1,300 trainers, and they're certainly logging in quite a few hours as far as delivering professional development to educators around the globe. So it's really awesome to see that, and we're hoping to see some of you folks join in on these numbers here. So like I said, we're going to be doing some Q&A, and pretty much in the time that I've been working on these programs, I've gotten a lot of questions, but there are a few that are at the top of the list that I get quite often. So I figured I would address those first, and then we'll jump into some of the questions that are being shared in the community and the back channel. So one of the questions that's the most common question in regards to the application is in relation to the video. People usually want to know, what features should I cover in my video? And my answer to that really is you definitely want to showcase something that you understand fully, so that you can showcase your knowledge of that in the video. But my best advice to you would be to go for the SLAM. And what I mean by that is to not do something basic, but instead something that's a little more advanced. You absolutely have to be sure that you are showcasing a tool that's within the Google Apps for Education suite. So it has to be within in any of those areas that you tested in. So it's either something on Gmail, Calendar, Drive, Sites. It could be something in Chrome, something related to Chromebooks or Google Play for Education, because those are the areas in which you would be focused in on. So just be really careful with that. You don't want to use you don't want to showcase other types of Google tools like Smarty Pins or Let Me Google That For You. You know, those are cool and fun, but they're not a part of this suite. So make sure that you're actually targeting something within the Google Apps for Education suite. And what I mean by going for the SLAM too, again, like I said, it's not something basic. So you want to go for something that showcases your in-depth knowledge of the tool, because that instantly lets us know, the reviewers know, that you know more than the basic stuff. So it's just a really great way to showcase your skill set. The other question that I get that's pretty common is around your resume of trainings. So that's one of the things that you'll find in the application, where you have to submit a resume about you. But unlike a job resume, this one truly is meant for you to showcase the work that you've done in relation to facilitating training sessions, workshops, sessions, etc. And so just be sure, because I get this question a lot as far as whether or not it should just be only Google Apps for Education PD or all. You definitely want to include everything that you've done, everything that you've facilitated. It doesn't all have to be on Google Apps, but make sure that you are showcasing your Google-specific sessions that you've led, because we are looking to find trainers who have already been training on Google Apps for Education. So make sure you highlight those. There are different ways, of course, in which you can highlight that, maybe bold it, maybe color it different. And then, of course, include all of your others, because we want to make sure that we are also looking at a potential trainer that has a lot of experience training, and that certainly matters as well. You will see, I've got an example linked on the slide deck, but just note you are to limit your resume to 2 pages. Because there's so many applications that come through, typically if you've got something that's a lot longer, that, you know, if it goes into 3-4 pages, it may not be looked at. So make sure you put your best at the top of the list. Even if you are still, you know, if you've got it down to 2 pages, you still want to put your best work up towards the top. We will give you multiple opportunities to showcase your training experience. So besides the resume, you will be submitting references as well as a case study. And so within those, all those different components, we'd be able to take a look at your training experience. So other opportunities for you to highlight the kind of work that, that you've done. All right, I've got a couple more common questions that come up in relation to the application here. People do ask about social media. You'll notice once you get into the application that there are 2 different areas. One which will ask for your Google Plus profile, the other will ask for your Twitter account. And I often get the question, should I create these accounts if I don't already have them? And my recommendation to you is yes. Even if you're just now going to start any one of those 2 platforms, I highly recommend it, because it's a great way for you to be able to expand your own personal learning network, as well as a vehicle for you to actually share your resources. And this is something that we look for in that in the applications I've reviewed, we look to see what kind of outreach you have. And that's really going to be the key there is, are you only working within your one environment in your school, or do you have a broader outreach? And your social media profiles allow you to actually have a much larger outreach. And so you definitely want to make sure to highlight those. And if you don't already have some of those or a presence in some of those platforms, you might consider building on those as well. All right, I've got another question here that's pretty common, and that's around your references. You will be asked to provide 3 different references, and usually people will ask, you know, who would be considered a good reference, or who would qualify as a good reference. And it should be a person who's attended your sessions or has seen you deliver training. Obviously, you want to make sure that this person is a trusted person, someone that would give you a great recommendation. And just an FYI, please be sure via, when you're creating your application, via the application itself is where you will fill out the information for that reference and you'll submit it through your application. Please note that your references will need to submit their reference in regards to you by the deadline as well. And so you can complete your application and submit it, but your references also need to complete that by Sunday. So if they're applying for this round, they would have to respond to that request by Sunday. If not, then you're going to be missing pieces of that application. So just be mindful of that when you choose your 3 references. Okay, so one of the last questions I want to address here is in relation to just the benefits for the person. Sometimes some folks are not quite sure as far as, do they want to pursue this? What would be the benefit for me? And, I've shared this with folks in the previous sessions, as well as in, all the different boot camps that we do for the certifications. And my biggest reward as far as being a part of these programs and what I would share with others is simply the network that you get to be a part of. There are just some awesome people that are part of these networks. You saw we're about 1,300 different trainers all over the world, and we get to collaborate. We get to share resources, ideas. If ever anyone's stuck on something, you just throw the question out there to that network, and it's likely that you'll get a lot of really great responses. So really great community of people that are really passionate and really know their stuff. So it's really awesome to become a part of that network. There's certainly lots of other benefits to this program, but that for sure is at the top of my list as a really, really great benefit. So Wendy, I'm going to stop it there for just a second here. Those were the top questions that I get in regards to the application, but there might be others, and so I'm going to go ahead and stop it there and take a look at the back channel. So I'm going to jump over and see if there have been any other questions that have come through, and we can start answering those. So let me go ahead and scroll back down. And Wendy, I don't know if any others came in on the Google Plus page.
Yeah, I added them to the chat, to the back channel, so we can go through there, and I'll dump them in there so you can see them right on the screen.
All right, so I'm getting a question here. Do all 3 components, the case study, resume, video, weigh equally on the decision makers? So every person that reviews the applications will have a different take going in, but I can tell you that just in my conversations with a lot of the reviewers that I know and that I've talked to, I can tell you that the video weighs a lot. Not that the others don't, but the video, because it is a video, I think in general, if we look at just research stats, in relation to print versus image versus video, video just tends to weigh more heavily. But honestly, the video does really give us a good idea of the kind of trainer you might be. For example, we can see personality. We can see, if you're a dynamic speaker or if you're just speaking monotone, maybe we might think, oh, that might put people to sleep, And so the video really lets us hear that in your voice. It lets us see also how you're explaining things and if it was easy to follow or if it wasn't. It also lets us see your skill level because there's a lot of things that you can showcase on your screen. We could see if you've got, extensions and, clearly you're using a lot of the tools. If we see a lot of extensions, if we see things that are, bookmarked in your bookmark bar, if we see, tabs pinned and tabs not pinned, we get a lot of information from just that video alone. And so it really does carry a lot of weight, not just because it's a video, but because we can see so much more and capture so much more of who you are in that particular video. The resume really helps in identifying your the amount of skill that you have in relation to the trainings that you do. Obviously, the more trainings you've done, clearly you do have the right skill set if you're being asked to do more and more training. So that helps from that perspective. But I think the video really is telling. So I would say that the video certainly carries a lot of weight. The others, of course, they all still count. So don't ever sell yourself short on any of those aspects, because if ever we're on the fence, one of those things would certainly be something we're looking at to see, okay, is this person going to be a good fit or not? All right, let me keep going on here. So I think I answered those couple on that application. The deadline we talked about already. Let's see here. So Beth, if you're looking for some feedback, you can certainly send things my way, and I'd be glad to give you some feedback on the different aspects of your application. Just make sure to send that my way with time enough to be able to provide you feedback, because the deadline is coming up on Sunday. So feel free to send things my way. All right, let's see here. On the training resume, should we include all training we've provided or focus the information more to Google? Okay, so we talked a little bit about that. Definitely highlight your best of. I know there are some of you folks out there that have been doing professional development for a really long time. You saw the limit is to 2 pages. You want to certainly include a little bit of information about you and your background, so you need some space for that. Highlight your best of and provide a diversity of things that you've done. So that's a good way to cut it down if you have a ton of stuff that you would want to include. Diversity is important because it shows your outreach. It also shows that you have a diverse skill set. So I wouldn't put, like 10 things on calendar and then only 1 thing on sites, 1 thing on Gmail. Actually diversify that listing so that it shows your skill set. All right, let's see what others are on here. All right, regarding the references, so yes, you want to submit their name. So the way that works, and I believe you guys can still see my screen, the way that the references work, so when you go into the application, you'll see request reference as a part of that application, and you'll click on that link and you'll fill out this form and then hit submit. So you're adding the person's name and then the email address, and you hit submit, and what they're going to receive is an email saying that you're asking for that particular reference. So just make sure that you do this sooner rather than later. So you want to do this now if you haven't already, so that they have at least between now and Sunday. And that would be really helpful for them. That way they're not rushed. All right, on the online application, it mentions linking a Google Sites page as an option for the resume. Would it be okay to use Google Sites? I highly recommend to use Google Sites if you have your content in Google Sites already. Simply because, once again, it provides us a way to see, okay, this person knows how to create a website using Google Sites, which is one of your main tools. So I would recommend using Google Sites. It's another way for you to showcase your work. Plus, I love the flexibility of Google Sites in that you can add videos. So if you have any other videos that you want to include, show us all of your resources. That's a really great way to show us the extent of your work. And so, yes, I would highly recommend using Google Sites. If you don't have a Google Sites, and given the short amount of time between now and Sunday when this is due, still at least include your web page that has some information. That would be great. But otherwise, yes, Google Sites would be a huge plus. The acceptance rate, there isn't necessarily I guess a rate of how many do or do not get accepted, because it's so different from quarter to quarter. So I don't have those numbers. I can tell you though that it's not dependent on there's no cap. Like there's no cap to say this quarter or every quarter we only accept 20 or 30 or 50. And to be clear, it would be the certified trainer. GCT was used to refer to Google Certified Teacher, which is no longer the case. And the only reason why I make that distinction is because the Google Certified Teacher used to have a cap as far as how many people were accepted to the Google Teacher Academies. But that's no longer the case. It's a different program now, but I just wanted to make sure everyone knew the distinction there. But for this particular program, they don't have a number that they cap it at. As far as paid opportunities, there are, from once you become a Google certified trainer, there are certainly opportunities that will come depending on the work that you're doing, the exposure that you're getting, and getting out there and presenting at events. You might actually get picked up and get those opportunities. I can tell you that as Google goes around to different conferences and events, they do offer, they do actually send out notifications to the community of trainers saying, hey, we're going to be here. Are you interested in coming along? Those may or may not be paid opportunities. But I do also know of third parties that will cover expenses and sometimes provide stipends for trainers, Google certified trainers, to actually go out and present. And I can tell you that at EdTech Team, we are constantly looking for some really great rock star folks that present on the Google Apps tools. As you guys know, we've got the Google Apps for Education summits that we do all over the world, and majority of our trainers are Google certified. So there are certainly some opportunities there that you would benefit from. As far as your resume, date specific, you do want to include at least the year because we want to see what you've done more currently. And so if you've got, let's say you've been doing professional development for the last 15, 20 years or so, then we want to see the more current content because, as you all know, Google Apps resources and tools, they change quite often, and so we want to make sure that you are up to date and up to speed with all of the latest stuff in Google, and that you've been training here more recently on those things. And so please be sure to at least include the year. If you don't know the exact dates for everything, that would be really helpful. Again, I don't have that average number per quarter that's been accepted. That's not a number that Google releases, so we don't have that information. All right, I'm going to jump over and see if there are any other questions that may have come through on the community here. I think we got the ones that were there. Wendy, do you have any others that have popped up?
No, I think they've all been funneled into the back channel, and it looks like you've been able to hit those all. I mean, I think the only other question was if somebody did want to share them with you, the best way, if that's through your Plus or if they had something specific with feedback that.
Yeah, I mean, you could certainly do it via social media, but if you're not wanting for that to be, public, then you might want to actually send that to me via email. So it's up to you. It's up to the person. Make sure that you share them. This is also a really great way to be able to verify that you've shared those properly, because that is sometimes one of the biggest reasons for getting a no, you weren't accepted, because the reviewers weren't able to get access to all of the content. So be really careful with that. Make sure you've shared your video, your resume, the Google site or whatever, site you're giving people access to, etc. That's going to be important. And I've got more tips, by the way. Once you get the slide deck, I've already shared it out. So if you guys go to that link that Wendy provided, you'll be able to get access to it. And starting on slide 27, about halfway, I've added additional tips. I also recommend that you guys check out our the Hangout on Air that we did last month, early October. We did a Hangout that went into more detail on the application. And so there's going to be a lot of tips in there as well. But in this particular slide deck, you'll be able to find some tips. And all of the important links will also be available towards the end of the slide deck as well.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Monica. I know we're at the end of our time today, but Monica's left everybody with some really great resources. You have our contact information. You have us on Plus. We'll have this archive available probably within the next few minutes on the Google Plus page. So please rewatch it if you need to. Open the slides up at bit.ly/411slides. And we'll go ahead and email everyone who's signed in and choose our door prize winner and shoot you all an email with the resources. And as trainers, I think Monica and I are both excited to hopefully welcome you into the community and learn and train together. So thanks again, everyone, for taking the time to want to try to do this professionally. We're always excited to get more trainers in our network. So my only advice is go ahead and apply, send it in what you have and learn from it after. But it's awesome you guys are all out there and getting started. So thanks again, and we'll see you online, everybody.
Bye, everyone.